You write me, Booker at bookerlawfirm.com. Your question ends up on the show. Bring you to the court of my public opinion. We're not going to look at this as legal advice because I don't represent you and I may not have all of the facts that I need. However, I'm going to do the best job that I can with what I have. Without further ado, let's get it crack-a-lacking. Order in the court. Woo! It's your favorite attorney, Attorney Ali Booker. Attorney Ali Booker, listen up, order in the court. This is a messy commoner, another messy commoner. Okay, you already know what time it is when I say that word. That means, okay, we have a messy commoner running about the gardens, about the kingdom. And they're running about with something that is common. It's a commoner. So this is a messy commoner right here. It's a common problem that we all approach. And if we haven't had the problem, our cousin has had the problem, our mother, our sister, our brother, our friend has had this problem. So you listen up because it's a common problem. Messy commoner running about. They wrote me and they said, I lost my kids and signed a paper saying that I get monthly updates and 2 visits a year with them. I lost them to CPS. The caseworker has randomly stopped giving me updates about them and said, when your rights were terminated, your Rule 11 agreement discussed the boys being adopted and the department would do their best to find a family that would comply. However, it is not something that we can form any adoptive home to follow the Rule 11. I was also told that I had to wait a year to go back and fight for them by my lawyer. I need to know what to do because there wasn't anything told to me about them being adopted. It hasn't been a year yet either. Baby, court of my public opinion. Let's bring her over. I hate to say this, and this is what happens. And it's so sad because I want to start off by saying hats off to the court-appointed attorneys on these CPS cases in Harris County. Woo! Hats off. They don't play games. They don't back down. They fight. The court-appointed attorneys. Like hell. Okay? Not all of them, but most of them. These ones. And really a lot of them. Because in order for them to represent parents that are losing babies, they have to like it. They have to have a passion for it and want to try to turn these parents' lives around however they can. And the mentors that I have on the family law side, they do exactly that. They do exactly that. They don't pass judgment and they will fight like hell for you. I will say this. It's sad that you didn't have one of those type of attorneys because they would have, I don't know. You know, and some of them are on the bench now as associate judges and judges. And I just don't ever see them doing that to their client, and they would be honest with you about their Rule 11 and what is happening. And I'm not saying that your attorney was not honest with you, but I will say this, okay? I started off with saying shout out to the court-appointed attorneys. I have done the appointments before. I have not gotten on the appointment list for them in a while. And I will say that is because it is very emotional, and you feel so bad when this happens, okay? And I want to say one of the last cases that I had, it just was horrible because the mother had children all over the place, and I represented her. And my job literally after they were trying to move and terminate was making sure she had links to these kids because I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew that what the caseworkers were telling her was not going to occur. I knew that her children would be adopted out. I told her that I don't care what this Rule 11 agreement says. I can't tell you 100% what will happen, but more than likely this is what I see. And I know that you're signing this believing that you will always have access to your children, but I must explain to you that there is a chance that you may not, because it says here in this agreement that they're going to try to get people that will comply, but a lot of the times people don't like to comply. And the reason that they don't like to comply is because it's hard for them to keep the children quelled. It's hard for them to keep control over children when children have another avenue and another way that they can get to somebody. If they don't like what their adoptive parents are doing, they can just run over there with you all. And the reason that they don't want to keep that connection sometimes is depending on what type of a mother it is. And I'm not getting on this mother, but if you're a mother that is overwhelming to them, if you're a mother that tries to take charge over them. If you are a mother who they think are going to try to come back and take your children from them. If you are a mother who always finds fault with them. If you are a mother who coaxes your children to go against them, then they would never allow you to see them, because it's going to cause conflict and problems. And a lot of the times, clients don't understand that these caseworkers go and find families because they don't have anybody in your family that can take the child. So now they're on the outside with another family, and they don't want to lose them. You have to keep those families happy, because at any point, if they get unhappy and want to give your child back to CPS, CPS now has a child out of placement, and they have to go back and find more placement for this child outside of a family, and that's hard to do. And it's tedious to do. So their job is to make sure that that family is okay. And if that means that, you're being a little too mean to them, then they'll stand in between. And that's why a lot of families don't like to do. It's not that they don't want you to have a relationship with your child, is that that relationship can be problematic, and it can also have a bearing on their relationship with your child because they're adopting your child. So one of the things that I did, I would teach her how to make pages, and I don't care. I would teach her how to make social media pages. Teach the different children how to stick together, because one thing that they cannot deny is sibling access, okay? So they can never deny siblings, no matter where they're adopted out. If they split them up, which most of the time they try not to, sometimes they do. But the law says they have to give the siblings access to the siblings, if no one else, even, right? So you use sibling access, okay? And siblings normally are meeting in between this time period before they get adopted out, okay? Before they're split. 9 times out of 10, they meet. And so the families meet each other, okay? Siblings that are older, it's really easy for them to keep up with those children, right? Because they know how they look. They have ways. And sometimes the parent has to allow the children to keep up with each other. And then once they start to get older and they age out of adoption or CPS custody, the children will go and gather the other children. And that's usually how it's going to have to happen, because parents just don't get access like that because they don't trust you. Okay? So, ma'am, if your visits started coming few and far in between, it was because they didn't have to do them anymore. Once the child was permanently placed in the conservatorship of CPS, and you probably started making it difficult. And then CPS doesn't have to do visits if they cannot accommodate them, okay, after termination or relinquishment. So they don't have to continue on. It's in that Rule 11. It tells you that they kind of don't have to if they can't effectuate it somewhere off in there. So you are never guaranteed visitation, guys. And I tell my clients that. So I make sure they find a way early on when I know that things are not going to go right for them. Once I've been appointed, I start figuring out how they can make sure that they stick together if it doesn't work out right. That way, when we get to this point, it's not a hill to climb or cross, because we figured that point out. Okay? That's the first thing. Second thing is, you need to be paying attention when they're placing your kids. Y'all don't pay attention to who they're placing the kids with because you're so pissed off. You could really make friends with those people, learn who they are, and at least learn their first and last names and enough about them so that when they adopt your kid and try to take off, you can get an investigator to find them. Use your brain. That's what you're going to have to do. Because right now you're in a position where those kids, they're maneuvering. So, but there are plenty of things that you can do, okay? And if your children are that old, ma'am, it won't be too long till they're knocking on your door to come find you, and you just stick around, okay? I'm sorry, but yes, it can happen, and that's why you don't turn a blind eye to your children ever. Unfortunately, things can happen that you don't have control over once CPS gets permanent managing conservatorship, either through termination or relinquishment. Next case. Sorry.
Made that call. I'm locked up and facing charges. Who gon' fight these cases for me? I called Booker Law Firm. They got the job done. They were right there for me.
For more information, contact the Booker Law Firm at 713-292-2225.